Hello everyone, today I read The Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell. The tipping point mostly has to do with the spread of ideas. How ideas go viral, how they become epidemic, how they spread. And there are 3 laws that Malcolm Gladwell says to make that happen. The first is the law of the few. There are 3 kinds of people who are spreading an idea to, that you need to spread an idea to, in order to get it to work. The first are connectors. People who just happen to be connected to a large series of groups, to a large series of people. Usually about 150 people. He specifically says that most people only have a social network of about 150 people. So if you have more than that, it's probably going to feel like if you spread your idea to someone at the top, it will funnel on down and it'll feel like a boss asking their people to do it. So it won't catch on to something actually fun. It'll feel more like work. But if you can find someone like... He found that people like Kevin Bacon, who have 6 degrees of separation for everything, are the right kind of people to go to. Oddly, he found people like shoe salesmen or people who work at a laundromat tend to be extremely well connected. But it depends on the organization and the people. He just found that in a lot of places, there are a select few people who keep introducing everyone to one another. And those people are extremely well connected. The second kind of people that he says that every idea needs to be marketed to, because this book is mostly a marketing book, is Mavens. And Mavens are just experts, but specifically experts that people go to get advice from. So a shopping maven would probably be someone who shares coupons and wants everyone else to kind of join in their shopping habits, and someone who's like, here's the best deal, trust me, I know. A car maven for him would be someone who goes out and buys a new car, innovators, and then they spread that information to everyone else. If you're trying something new out, make sure it attracts the people who actually like this stuff. They're the ones who keep you honest. And the third are salespeople, which, to be honest, to me, it felt like he didn't go into as much. And they're the persuaders. They're the ones who show how cool it is. They're the ones who are trendy in bringing things into the mainstream. They're the ones who find, he specifically uses the example of, like, people who are trendsetters, who are interested in things beyond the current population, who try, like, things like where most people are concerned with, like, weight in their teenage years. They're looking for people who are concerned with, like, social issues and making things for entirely personal choices, and that being a consistent trend that seems to go across, like, multiple ways. That kind of trend setter is a salesperson, because they have their heart in the game, and they tend to inspire others, providing that they're not being preachy about it. But basically, they're doing it well. And those 3 people are the 3 people you are trying to convince to help you out if you're trying to spread a new idea. The second thing to keep in mind is the stickiness factor. And that's that usually what information you have to give to people, you need to present it in the right context and the right light. Even if you have all the right information and the right skill, you need to present in a way that's impactful, memorable, and encouraging people to do things in the right way. He used tetanus information for his book. A bunch of doctors handed students tetanus information, and it just some of them had, like, fearful images on it, and the other just gave the information. Both of these didn't work. Both of them felt like it was pressuring people to just learn the information. But in a college setting, that didn't matter. They have to memorize information all the time. So only when they wrote the clinic on the back, and this worked the same for both of them, percentage-wise, and gave instructions to go there by specific days for their tetanus shots, and that this is what they could do if they were later, that gave the students the information they need, including students who knew where they were going to go and had plans to go there in the first place. It gave an intent to the message, and it let them plan on it, and because it was written with that information on it and, like, a call to action, and it was done in a way that says, look, we're not doing this just to tell you facts, we're doing this to get you to get the shot to prevent these things. The rest of the information is just if you're having these problems. Because it was presented in that way, they stuck to it, and the chances went way up. Sesame Street was his best example, though, where he said they went against all the psychologists in the network in order to make sure that the puppets and the people were in the same place, and they tracked, like, what kids actually like. The last one is the context for the message being delivered. I mentioned the 150 things earlier that actually is more applicable here, where how people use the product and how they make it into their own, and how it kind of becomes tribal, is a big deal with how it's used. Like, memes on the internet are probably a great example. How many people have used Shia LaBeouf's "do it" in a different way? How many people have used some kind of, like, picture by an actor as a means of expressing themselves in an emote? You have no control over that. You do have control over what the core of the message is and where you place it and how it's first seen. And that becomes, like, the canon way to interpret the way to view it. But as soon as you hand that off to people, that perception is how people will view the context of the thing. I guess a better way to put the power of context is the way things are perceived is the way things will be interpreted. Within the book, Malcolm Gladwell references graffiti and crime on the street going down as less dirtiness within the city goes away. Things like graffiti on the wall, broken windows, broken environments. A rise in crime tends to increase with those because it tells the people who view them that no one's going to arrest them and no one gives a shit. So because they get that message of we can do what we want and no one gives a shit, more people are going to commit crimes in dirty areas. Means no one's on patrol. No one who cares anyways. And that is the three major lessons. The power of a few people, specifically salesmen, mavens, skilled people, and connectors. The stickiness factor, and the power of context. And now I bring up the issue I have with nearly every Malcolm Gladwell book, which is, despite giving a wide variety of stories and examples, he doesn't tend to prove any of them, or he doesn't cite them. He doesn't give data to back it up. He kind of just gives anecdotes, which are easier to digest, but for me, who's planning on incorporating these and taking actions with them, I'd prefer to see numbers. Malcolm Gladwell is also famous for introducing the 10,000 hour rule, which you've probably heard 1,000 times now. 10,000 times. Which is, in order to become a true expert at something, you need to do it for 10,000 hours. In that book, he just cites like a ton of times where it happened, but it's not persuasive. And I feel this book is the same way, where it has a lot of examples. These are interesting ideas, but I want to use them. Like, I have questions such as, what if someone's a combination of a maven and a connector, who is also a bit of a salesman? Is everyone a little bit of a connector? If you know someone who gets in touch with a connector, are they more likely to go to it? How exactly do you define a connector? What do you need to do to be a maven? How did you define maven? You sort of gave it a context of a thing, but is there a kind of person that's a maven? Is there like a number before they're considered a maven? How does one become a maven? What kind of groups are you appealing to? There's so many questions I have involving the definitions that they've done that I would need to understand in order to use this information. And so I need hard numbers. I don't care if it's in the text. If you can link me to study or something to use them, I will use them for marketing purposes. I will use this idea to spread information to friends. I'm already a little bit of a connector. I'm already a little bit of a maven. I know people who contact me regularly for information. I'm considered charismatic by like 4 people who don't know me yet. I guess they haven't seen me awkward enough. Don't show them this, please. Please, for the love of God, don't show them this. But I can't use this. This is just telling me how ideas spread. I mean, I could use some of the concepts. I could like pay attention to people in shops who look like they're more normal and assume that they might be trendsetters. More normal being like wearing more mainstream stuff, but still kind of like a mesh. I can assume that they would be people who are interested in a wide variety of different areas. They might be like in a business suit because they just came from business, whereas everyone else is in punk outfit. Someone who doesn't stand out but is still welcome there. I would assume that they go to multiple groups, so they're probably well connected or charismatic. I would give it 3 out of 5 stars, but for many people I would say 5 out of 5 stars. If you can figure out a way to use all this, if it just seems intuitive to what you're doing or like a conceptually interesting, then I highly recommend this. The concepts in it, the ideas are fantastic. I just need more proof to back it up. If you need proof, if you need a lot of data in order to believe anything, which like I would bet that a lot of this in here is just not going to be used, then you might not like this book at all. That said, it is short. Give it a try, see if anything clicks for you. But if you're like me and you want to use hard numbers and hard data, then take it with a grain of salt. Anyways, that's the tipping point, and now I'll see you next week. Bye, everyone. The dominoes finally hit the floor. They like it, they love it, they want some more. Give a little nudge, watch the numbers soar, even if you didn't change anything at the core.